Welcome to today's video. In this deep dive, we explore one of the most influential and controversial figures in the realm of political philosophy, Niccolò Machiavelli. Known primarily for his work The Prince, Machiavelli's ideas on power, leadership, and human nature have sparked intense debate for centuries. While some view his teachings as a ruthless guide to realpolitik, others find in them profound insights into the nature of authority and governance. Today, we'll unpack Machiavelli's key concepts, critically assess their relevance, and consider both the strengths and potential dangers of his philosophy. Stay with us as we examine how his ideas resonate in today's world, and how we might navigate the complexities of power in a morally uncertain age. If you're interested in exploring more philosophical perspectives on leadership and morality, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon to stay updated with all our future content. Traditional morality and the nature of leadership. Machiavelli's rejection of traditional morality and leadership is one of his most provocative and often criticized ideas. In The Prince, he famously argues that rulers must sometimes abandon moral constraints, especially those rooted in religion or philosophy, if those principles threaten the stability of the state. For Machiavelli, the preservation of the state is the paramount duty of any ruler, even if that means resorting to deception, manipulation, or force. In his view, the end always justifies the means, and the ruler must be willing to do whatever it takes to maintain power, regardless of conventional moral boundaries. But let's take a moment to step back and examine this through a different lens, one grounded in Stoic philosophy. From a Stoic perspective, Machiavelli's approach to leadership is deeply flawed. The Stoics, with their firm belief in virtue, would argue that a ruler's responsibility extends far beyond the mere preservation of power. True leadership, according to Stoicism, is not about manipulating others to maintain control. It is about embodying virtue in all decisions, regardless of the political cost. Zeno, the founder of Stoicism, taught that virtue is not just a means to an end. It is an end in itself. A Stoic believes that living virtuously leads to true happiness, a happiness not dependent on wealth, status, or political power. For a Stoic ruler, power should never come at the expense of their integrity. In fact, the Stoic would argue that a ruler who compromises virtue for power, even temporarily, is ultimately undermining their own ability to govern justly. Such a ruler may find success in the short term, but they risk creating a legacy of tyranny and corruption. Imagine a ruler who is guided by wisdom, justice, courage, and moderation, the cardinal virtues of Stoicism. This ruler would never bend their moral compass to suit the whims of the moment or to manipulate others for personal gain. Instead, they would base their decisions on a steady commitment to doing what is right, regardless of how difficult it may seem. They would show courage in the face of adversity, justice when making tough decisions, and wisdom in choosing the best course of action for their people. In practical terms, a Stoic ruler would govern with fairness, always considering the well-being of their citizens and the health of the state as a whole. They would resist the temptation to resort to deception or manipulation, knowing that true power does not lie in controlling others through fear or coercion, but in inspiring respect and loyalty through integrity. Even in the most trying circumstances, a Stoic leader would act according to their values, because they understand that power gained through virtue is far more enduring than power gained through force or deceit. The Stoic ruler, then, is a leader who does not see virtue as a luxury but as a necessity. In the Stoic worldview, it is only by acting in alignment with virtue that one can secure true success, not just for the state, but for the ruler themselves, as their actions are a reflection of their inner character. This is the kind of leadership that creates stability, fosters trust, and promotes the common good, an approach that, while perhaps slower and more challenging than Machiavelli's, ultimately leads to a more just and prosperous society. The Fox and the Lion. Cunning and strength. Machiavelli's famous metaphor in which a ruler must be both a fox and a lion encapsulates his pragmatic view of leadership. The fox symbolizes cunning and cleverness, traits that help a leader navigate political traps, while the lion represents strength and the power to instill fear in others. In Machiavelli's world, Survival often demands a balance between these two qualities, the ability to manipulate and deceive when necessary, coupled with the strength to intimidate and control when the situation calls for it. This approach might seem realistic or even necessary in the cutthroat world of politics, but from a Stoic perspective, the reliance on trickery and fear raises significant concerns. The Stoics believe that true leadership is not about outsmarting others or ruling through coercion. Instead, it is about embodying wisdom and virtue, which guide a ruler to act in ways that benefit the state and its people, without resorting to deceit or violence. A Stoic ruler, unlike Machiavelli's fox, would not depend on manipulation to achieve their ends. Instead, they would rely on reason, deliberation, and moral clarity to make decisions. The Stoic would see the fox's reliance on deception as an avoidance of direct confrontation with reality. While the fox may avoid traps by cunning, the Stoic would argue that the wisest course is to avoid the trap altogether by cultivating wisdom and self-control. A true ruler, for the Stoic, does not need to rely on cleverness to navigate political games. They rely on a steadfast commitment to doing what is right, informed by an unshakable moral foundation. Similarly, the lion in Machiavelli's metaphor symbolizes strength, but not the kind of strength the Stoics admire. Machiavelli's lion rules through fear, asserting dominance and intimidating others to maintain control. For the Stoic, however, true strength lies in character, not in the ability to dominate. The Stoic ruler's strength is rooted in their inner tranquility, the peace of mind that comes from living in accordance with virtue and being unshaken by external pressures. They do not need to strike fear into others because their power comes from a quiet confidence in their own integrity. A Stoic ruler's strength is in their ability to lead with justice, courage, and moderation, using their authority not to control, but to serve the common good. In short, Machiavelli's fox and lion may provide practical advice for a ruler trying to survive in a chaotic, competitive world. But the Stoic approach offers a deeper, more meaningful vision of leadership, one rooted in wisdom, virtue, and the understanding that true power does not come from manipulation or fear, but from acting in harmony with one's highest principles. A Stoic leader seeks to govern not through trickery or strength, but through the force of their character and the clarity of their purpose, leading others toward a just and flourishing society. The role of virtue in politics. Machiavelli's skepticism toward virtue in politics represents one of the sharpest contrasts between his political philosophy and Stoicism. He contends that while virtuous rulers may be noble, they are ultimately at a disadvantage in the unforgiving arena of political life. In Machiavelli's view, a ruler must be willing to cast aside traditional moral codes and embrace pragmatism, deception, manipulation, and even violence, if they are to survive and succeed. For Machiavelli, the preservation of power is paramount, and virtue is seen as a potential weakness that could lead to downfall in a world where power dynamics are constantly shifting. Yet from a Stoic standpoint, this view is fundamentally flawed. The Stoics, philosophers like Zeno, Epictetus, and Marcus Aurelius, believed that virtue was not a hindrance to political success, but rather its very foundation. In the Stoic worldview, virtue is not something to be set aside when difficult decisions arise. It is precisely in these moments of challenge that virtue is most crucial. A leader who remains grounded in virtue, guided by reason and moral clarity, is the one who will truly prosper and make wise decisions. Consider Marcus Aurelius, one of the most revered Stoic emperors. He ruled with a deep sense of duty and responsibility, always striving to act in accordance with reason, justice, and the common good. Marcus did not view his position as a mere power struggle, nor did he believe that to succeed as a ruler he must abandon virtue. On the contrary, he saw his leadership as a service to his fellow citizens, governed by the principles of wisdom and moral duty. Marcus Aurelius famously wrote, "A ruler should be like the sun, illuminating the world with their virtues, not casting shadows through fear or manipulation." In contrast to Machiavelli's cynicism, the Stoic ruler understands that true power does not come from domination or control, but from moral integrity. A ruler who acts virtuously, who is just, wise, and self-controlled, does not need to resort to deceit or violence because their leadership is rooted in the universal values of human dignity and fairness. Such a leader understands the interconnectedness of all people and seeks to guide them, not through coercion, but by setting an example through their own virtuous actions. A Stoic ruler's commitment to virtue liberates them rather than restrains them. It provides the clarity and strength to face the challenges of leadership without succumbing to the temptations of power. Virtue, for the Stoic, is not an abstract or theoretical concept. It is a practical tool for governing wisely and justly. The Stoic ruler is not swayed by the immediate desires or fears of others. Instead, they make decisions based on what is morally right, knowing that such decisions will ultimately benefit the state and promote true, lasting stability. In this way, the Stoic view of politics offers a more enduring and just model of leadership than the Machiavellian focus on expedience and manipulation. The Stoic leader does not see politics as a game to be won at any cost, but as a duty to act in accordance with virtue, serving the greater good of society while remaining true to their own moral principles. The dangers of Machiavelli's ideas. Machiavelli's ideas, though grounded in a pragmatic view of politics, come at a great moral and philosophical cost. His recommendations often advocate for ruling through fear, manipulation, and brute force, values that starkly contradict Stoic principles. For Machiavelli, power and stability are the ultimate goals, and he suggests that rulers should be willing to abandon morality if it interferes with the preservation of the state. In this view, a leader must be prepared to use deception, coercion, and violence to achieve their aims. However, the Stoic philosopher sees profound dangers in this approach. A leader who relinquishes their moral compass in the pursuit of power risks creating a government that is disconnected from the well-being of the people. The Stoic ideal of leadership is rooted in virtue, not manipulation. And while Machiavellian tactics may secure short-term victories, they can never lead to true harmony or flourishing. A government founded on fear and injustice is inherently unstable. People may initially submit to force, but over time, such a regime will breed resentment, mistrust, and alienation. Eventually, the moral decay of the ruler will undermine the very foundations of the state they sought to protect. Moreover, Machiavelli's model fosters a disconnect between the ruler and the governed. By emphasizing control and manipulation, it creates a ruler who sees their subjects as tools to be used rather than individuals to be served. This creates a culture of mistrust and fear, which undermines the possibility of genuine cooperation and mutual respect, essential elements of any thriving society. In stark contrast, the Stoic ruler governs with justice, wisdom, and compassion. They view their role not as one of domination, but as a sacred responsibility to serve the people. A Stoic leader understands that true leadership is about guiding others toward virtue, not exploiting their weaknesses. While the Stoic ruler may face difficult decisions and challenges, they remain grounded in their moral convictions, knowing that their duty is not merely to preserve power, but to foster a flourishing society based on justice and virtue. The Stoic philosophy teaches that ruling unjustly in order to maintain power might achieve temporary stability, but it will never bring about the true harmony required for both the well-being of the state and the soul. A ruler who acts unjustly, even for noble reasons, cannot create a just state. To lead with integrity, a ruler must act in accordance with virtue, not only for the good of the state, but for their own personal peace and the flourishing of those they govern. Only in this way can a ruler secure lasting stability and harmony, which is the true essence of effective leadership. In sum, while Machiavelli's ideas may offer practical insights for the maintenance of power, they ultimately lead to a corrosive form of leadership, one that sacrifices morality for expedience and breeds a culture of fear and distrust. In contrast, the Stoic approach to leadership is built on the unwavering foundation of virtue, ensuring that the ruler's actions contribute to the long-term flourishing of both the state and the soul. Would you like to dive deeper into any particular aspect of this contrast? Conclusion. In conclusion, While Machiavelli's work offers valuable insights into the mechanics of power, it also presents a worldview that prioritizes control at the expense of virtue and human dignity. For the Stoic, true leadership is not about winning at any cost. It is about living in accordance with nature and reason, serving others with wisdom and justice, and maintaining inner tranquility. The Stoic ruler embodies the highest ideals of leadership: wisdom, justice, courage, and moderation. They do not seek power for its own sake, nor do they abandon virtue when faced with challenges. Instead, they lead with integrity, guided by the belief that the flourishing of the soul is more important than the acquisition of power. At Stoic Trench, we believe that true strength lies in the cultivation of virtue, and that the best leaders are those who govern with purpose, guided by wisdom, not manipulation. If you enjoyed this exploration of Machiavelli through the Stoic lens, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments below. Let's continue our journey of cultivating inner strength and wisdom together. Machiavelli may argue that the end justifies the means, but the Stoic knows that the means must always be just. The Stoic ruler, in the end, does not rule over others. They rule in service to the common good, and in doing so they lead with true power, the power of virtue.